If you're running out of time, this is another good question to come to because it has a very specific line reference, right? It tells us to go to the fifth paragraph. It's only, what is that, 7 lines. So it's pretty good to do fast, okay? And the other thing, too, is remember, these are not really asking you to understand the science here. If they're asking for the purpose of the fifth paragraph, they're going to be asking for a much more general kind of like literary purpose, not for you to understand the science. So look, this is a tough paragraph. I'm going to start one sentence before and end one sentence after for context. It says, the memory champs weren't smarter and they didn't have special brains. But there was one telling difference between the brains of the mental athletes and the control subjects. So one difference. When the researchers looked at which parts of the brain were lighting up when the mental athletes were memorizing, they found that they were activating entirely different circuitry. According to the MRIs, the functional MRIs, regions of the brain that were less active in the control subjects seemed to be working in overdrive for the mental athletes. So less active, overdrive, there's some sort of comparison. So notice the things I'm underlining aren't science-y. They're more broad. They're just more about like how the steps of an experiment function. So I'm going to use that now as I go through the process of elimination for these choices. Relate McGuire's study of mental athletes to her study of taxi drivers. Well, it hasn't talked about the taxi drivers at all or the other study. Speculate on the reasons for McGuire's unexpected results. Well, here's a strong word, unexpected. Do I have any evidence that these results were unexpected? Doesn't say anything about surprise. At least I don't think it does. More importantly, it's not speculating on any reasons for the findings. It's just giving us the findings. So this is going too far for a couple reasons. C, identify an important finding of McGuire's study of mental athletes. Now notice I can turn that into a question. What is the important finding? It's that the brains were less active for the control subjects and were working in overdrive for the mental athletes. Right? There's one telling difference between their brains. That's the finding. So if I turn the choice into a question, the lines provide me with an easy answer. And yeah, they're definitely talking about the findings here. I don't need to understand the findings to understand that they're talking about the findings. That's really important. That's why we don't do a lot of rereading on these questions, right? You don't need to dive too deep. Dumb summary. Keep it simple. Let's look at D, though. Transition from a summary of McGuire's findings to a description of her methods. Well, there's no description of her methods. We can go to the next paragraph here. Surprisingly, when the mental athletes were learning new information, they were engaging several regions of the brain known to be involved in 2 specific tasks, visual, memory, and spatial something. So, no, this is definitely not talking about her methods. It's still talking about her findings, so that part isn't talked about. And that's why this question is actually really fast, because we don't have to read a lot, and we don't have to understand a lot, and the choices do the work for us. So we really, if we're going to reread something, it's going to be the choices, so we can find those strong words that kind of get in the way of the wrong answers, and then get us down to one right answer.